Hi there, everybody, and welcome back for another game here. Going back to 1949, we've got the Athletics at the Cleveland Indians. Both teams are a game and a half out of first place behind the Yankees. Frank Papish is going to start here for the Indians, and his first pitch in there to Elmer Valo is a ball. Frank Popish, I'm going to say Papish. And there's a foul ball from Vela, 1-1 now the count, and there's one on the outside, and the outside corner hits the corner, 1-2, 2-2 now the count. And Valo hits one foul, and there's one inside, full count now. And there's a little foul ball that just goes out of play. Still full count now, and that one is off the plate. There was a question here about whether Papish was going to get the start, or if we were going to go instead with Al Benton, and I looked at it for a little while, and then finally it settled on Frank. Thought we might as well give him a try. This is, I think, his second appearance rather this season. Looks like he had an inning of relief. 1-1 the count now, and Eddie Juiced, and there's a swing and a miss. 1-2 now, and Juiced then swings and is tied up, and that one strikes out. There's one away here, Sam Chapman, and he lines one over to shortstop. Bordeaux grabs that one straight out of the sky. Elmer Valo, of course, stays over at first base, and there's two outs now. Here's Hank Majeski. There's a... And Valo streaking towards second base has got it stolen as the throw from Hegan was on time, but the ball ended up coming loose. And I'm just looking back through this to see who was covering. It doesn't tell me if it was Boudreau or Gordon who was covering, one of the two. Unfortunately, not able to grab that ball for the out, and that's a ground ball now to Gordon at second. Throws to first for the out, and the stolen base ends up doing nothing to help the Athletics' cause. We go to the bottom of the first. Here's Larry Doby. Carl Scheib gets the start here for the Athletics, and there's a strike in there to Doby, and he fouls one back. 0-2 now the count. There's one low and outside, 1-2 now, and there's ball 2, 2-2 the count now. And Doby swings and misses to that one. He's the first out here. Here comes Lou Boudreau hitting .419 this year. For everything on all of those offensive statistics, and he hits one that goes to the right side and goes right past first baseman Ferris Fain for a base hit, and so Boudreau now the runner on first base here with one out for Hal Peck. Hal Peck with a .256 batting average, playing okay so far this season, down 0-2 now here against Scheib, and there's a ground ball over to the right side. Suter has it, throws over to first for the out. Boudreau moves up to second. Here comes Mickey Vernon. There's a little pop fly off the bat of Vernon, and that one ends up falling in left field as for a bloop double, and that will score the run. Vernon winds up at second base, and that is a double that when I first saw this play-by-play starting, I thought for certain that this was going to be sort of a routine play or a foul ball or something like that. You can never tell, with this Diamond Mine play-by-play. And in the end, this turns out to be a double that scores a run. And man, I tell you, it's so, when you look at it, the play-by-play here is just so subtle from time to time, and you really have to pay close attention. We play a whole ton of these games, and you get to the point where, you kind of think what's going to come and what you're expecting. But in this case, clearly I was caught off guard. 1-0 now Cleveland here, bottom of the first inning. Here comes Dale Mitchell. And there's one outside to Mitchell. 1-0 the count, and 2-0 as Scheib misses outside again. There's one inside on the black, 2-1 now. That one was way inside, 3-1, and that's under the hands, and that's ball 4. So both pitchers giving up walks early here. Here is Bob Kennedy now, and he fouls one off his foot, 0-1. Kennedy hitting only 175. There's a ball to him, 1-1 now the count. There's one outside, 2-1 is the count. There's ball 3 up at the shoulders, and Kennedy fouls one back. Full count now, and that one's fouled back again. Still a full count. And there's ball 4, and Carl Scheib having some control problems. I probably should have clicked into Carl Scheib to realize that he has so many walks on the season. 2 outs now, bases loaded. And here's Joe Gordon, who takes a fastball in there for a strike. 0-1 the count. There's one outside. It's 1-1. And 2-1 now as Gordon was able to check his swing. And that one's too far outside for a ball. It's 3-1. Let's see if Scheib walks in the run. And nope, there is strike 2, and everybody in the stands is upset about that one. Still a full count now as he fouls one back. And that's fouled back again. Full count. And there's a bases loaded walk. And so they get the walk. They draw the walk from Scheib, and that does not bode well for the Philadelphia Athletics. This Philadelphia Athletics team is not necessarily the greatest team in the world. And just like every other team in 1949, it struggles from giving up too many walks. And we can definitely see those struggles here in play so far early on in this one. 2-0 now Cleveland here at bottom of the first inning, and they have a chance to really blow it up. And Jim Hegan up there takes a ball, 1-0 the count. And there's one line to the left side, but that's a loud foul ball, 1-1. And there's one away, 2-1 the count. And there's one that's bounced over to Fain at first base. He grabs it, flips over to Scheib, who has the tricky play, but able to complete it at first. We go to the top of the second. 2-0 Indians now, and here's Wally Moses, and there's a ball to Wally. 1-0 now, and it's 1-1 as he swings and misses at 1. 2-1 is the count now, as that one was high, and that one couches the outside corner for a strike. 2-2, and there's a ground ball over to Joe Gordon. Throws over to first base for the out, one away, and here's Pete Suter, who fouls one back. 0-1 the count now, and it's 1-1 on him as he takes a ball. And there's ball 2 as that one is away and off the mark. And there's a little fly ball over to Mitchell in left field. He has it for the out, 2 away. And here's Ferris Fain. There's a ball to Fain, 1-0 the count, 2-0 now as Papish misses again, 3-0 now. And there's ball 4 to him, and that's another walk. And here comes Mike Guerra. And there's a strike in there to Guerra, 0-1, and then 1 low. 1-1 now the count on Guerra. 2-1 as Papish misses again, and that one misses again. 3-1 now the count. Papish catches the corner for a strike there, and it's a full count. And he held up. Guerra holds up for that check swing, and that means that he walks 2 walks here in the top of the second inning. This might be one of those games. Here's Scheib, and he hits one deep to center field. Dobie's got it for the out. We go to the bottom of the second inning. And Papish now the pitcher up there for the Indians, and he fouls one back and takes the ball. 1-1 the count. And there's one line to third base. Hank Majeski there, and he grabs that one up knee high, and there's one away. Here is Larry Doby, takes 2 quick strikes, and that one was high, wasted to pitch. 1-2 the count. 2-2, that one is low. And there's another foul ball. 2-2 the count still. And there's one off the plate. Full count now on Doby. Doby rocks that one deep to left field. Valo's there for the catch, though. 2 away, and here's Lou Boudreau, who takes the ball inside. Fouls one back, and it's a 1-1 count on Boudreau, and there's one inside, 2-1. That's fouled off. 2-2 now the count, and there's one line to left field, and that's a quick little base hit that falls in front of Elmer Valo, and that brings up Hal Peck now with a runner on first base here. Bottom of the second inning, still 2-0 Indians. He takes a ball and another ball, 2-0 the count on him. And there's one that's lifted into the air, 2-1 now after that foul ball. There's a little ground ball over to Majeski. Throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the third. Here's Elmer Valo. And he takes a ball. And there's another one in the dirt, 2-0 the count. And there's a strike to him, 2-1. And that one's hit over straight into center field. Doby goes over and makes the catch. And that ball took off on him. He sort of misplayed that one, but he was able to leap up and catch that in the end. Another one of these plays, and as I said, we've seen a couple of these where it looks like it's a real routine play off the bat, and then you realize in the end that it's not quite that routine, but Doby able to make the recovery, and there's one away. Here is Eddie Juiced. Takes one out wide, 1-0 the count on him, and 1-1 is that one is inside, and there's a ball on him, 2-1 the count. And it's 3-1 there as he takes one low, and that one's down and in. And Papish, with walk number 4 so far, isn't quite feeling it here in his first start. There's a strike to Sam Chapman, and there's one way inside for a ball. 1-1 the count now. And there's a foul ball. It's 1-2. There's a little fly ball towards center field. Doby's got it for the out, 2 away, and here comes Hank Majeski, runner still on first base. There's a ground ball over to the shortstop. Boudreau's got it. Flips over to Gordon at second base for the out. We go to the bottom of the third inning, and here is Mickey Vernon for the Indians. Vernon takes a ball, and then another ball. 2-0 is the count on him. It's a breaking ball in there for a strike. It's a 2-1 count. There's a fastball high. 3-1 the count now. And that's going to be a walk. So Vernon is able to draw the walk, and that brings up Dale Mitchell, runner on first base, bottom of the third, 2-0 still Indians in a game that's featured a lot of walks, but not so many hits. 1-1 the count now on Dale Mitchell, and 2-1 as he doesn't go around on that one. There's one that's popped up on the infield. Eddie Juiced has it for the first out. Here's Bob Kennedy, and he takes a curve high. And throw to first, but nothing happening. Another throw to first, still nothing happening. 1-1 now is the pitch on Bob. And there's a ball high, 2-1 the pitch on him. And there's one that's hit and lined towards left center field that splits the outfielders. We're going to send Mickey Vernon around to try to score. And here comes the throw home. And Vernon is able to score standing up. 3-0 ball game now so far. And here's Joe Gordon, who walked last time with the bases loaded, takes a strike and a ball. 1-1 now the count on Gordon. That one's hit to left field, and that's a base hit. And we're going to try to score Kennedy as well. Here comes the throw home. And they got him at the plate, and so that's the second out here of the game. Joe Gordon stays at first. That brings up Jim Hegan. Good play there by the Athletics outfield. However, the pitching is a little bit suspect as Hegan gets a base hit over to right field that lands in front of Wally Moses. We're going to play it safe here with Joe Gordon now that we have 2 outs, and that'll bring up Papish. Doesn't really matter one way or another. You'll have the pitcher up there with whether you have runners on first and second or first and third. The count now on Frank 1-1. And 1-2 is that one's just overpowered him. 2-2 now is Scheib trying to be a little bit cute with it. And there was that pitch right over the corner, and that froze Papish, and that's out number 3. And we go to the top of the 4th inning. Here is Wally Moses. And the count on him quickly is 2-0, and there's one off the plate, 3-0 now, and Frank having a hard time with his control. And there's ball 4 to Wally, and that brings up Pete Suter with a runner on first base. And there's the 5th straight ball issued, delivered by Papish, and the 6th straight ball, 2-0 now the count on Pete. 3-0 as that one misses high, and there finally is a strike. 7 balls in a row. Finally, we get 1 strike. There's one high and inside, and you have runners on first and second now, and that brings up Ferris Fain. And I am starting to think about maybe we should bring somebody else in to pitch. And there's one lined on the first base line. It's a fair ball, and that will score 1. Fain ends up running into second base with a double. And here come the Athletics coming back quickly and early in this one. And, Papish is really on a life support, I would say, at the time. I mean, I'm not going to give him a whole lot of room to continue to hang himself like this. Runners now on second and third. This inning has been entirely the pitcher's mistake. We can talk about fielding and bad luck and stuff like this, but when you start walking guys like this, it's your own fault. And there's ball 1 to Mike Guerrero. And there's one foul back. 1-1 the count now. There's one in their first strike. It's 1-2. That one's popped up behind first base. Vernon has it for the out, 1 away, and that brings up Carl Scheib. Runner still on second and third. Infield is back. There's a ball to Scheib, and there's a smash up the middle for a base hit, and that will score 1. Scheib ends up going to first base, and it's a 3-2 ball game just like that. And I do, again, have to wonder how much longer I'm going to stay with this pitcher. I don't want to necessarily make a change too early if I don't have to, and he's not exactly getting shelled. It's only the second hit he's given up. Both have been in this inning. But you're not going to do well if you walk 6 in, what is it? Not even 4 full innings. And that's where we have the problem. Here's Elmer Vallo now, and he takes a ball, 1-0 the count. And that one's fouled straight back. 1-1 now the count on Elmer. And there's one inside, 2-1, and ground ball over to second base. We are going to go for the double play. And so Gordon with it throws over to Boudreau for 1, on to first for the double play. And that does it. That kills the rally. And I was kind of tempting fate with 1 out and playing with the infield back. It's probably a little bit of laziness on my part, but it ended up working out for us in the end. So in the box score, you're not going to know the difference. Big double play ends that inning, and Elmer Vallo can only rue his inability to get the hit. And we'll go here to the bottom of the 4th inning as the Indians cling on to the 3-2 lead. And I really, really think that we're probably not going to stick with Scheib for much longer. Larry Doby here to lead this one off, and he takes a strike. I'm sorry, with Papish, rather. Or Papish. I'm forgetting which team I'm managing. Yeah, Carl Scheib, we'll see how long they stick with him, too. He has 4 walks in this. There's a little little comebacker to the pitcher, and Scheib ends up worrying so much about the bat that he can't make a play on the ball, and that's an error on the pitcher. And I'm trying to sort of envision that in my head. I'm not quite sure that necessarily the pitcher would be called for an error if a big bat comes flying out at him like that. But, I don't know. It could happen. And so just like that, we have runner on first base here, bottom of the 4th inning with a 3-2 lead for Cleveland. And we will see where this one winds up, won't we? So far, so good. Up next is, as I get this all taken care of, up next is Lou Boudreau with the runner on first, Larry Doby. And there's one inside that misses to Boudreau. 1-0 the count. We'll run Doby. Let's see what happens. And there's a foul ball, and nobody can get there. 1-1 now the count. And we'll hold Doby back this time. There's a fly ball over to left field. Vallo has it for the first out. Here is Hal Peck. 1 away here. Still runner on first base. There's a throw to first. Nothing doing. Foul ball by Peck. And 0-1 is now the count. And there he goes, and there's a little fly ball over to right field, and Moses has it for the second out. That brings up Mickey Vernon, and Doby has to remain at first base, and there's a ball in the dirt. A little ground ball over to Juice, flips it over to Sutter for the out. We go to the top of the 5th, still 3-2 Indians. Eddie Juice up there takes a ball, and a strike. Papish able to get back in there. And there's a ball again to Juiced, and 1 shoulder high, 3-1 the count, and there's a strike to him. It's a full count now. And there's a ground ball over to first, past Mickey Vernon for a base hit, and that'll bring up Sam Chapman. runner on first base, and I'm trying to stop that itchy trigger finger. Chapman hits a little ground ball over to Gordon, who has to make the play to first base with Juice, who I think was running. He was, and that's a good hit and run play, which we just failed at executing. And here is Hank Majeski, fouls one off, 0-1 the count, and then right foul over third base, 0-2, 1-2 as that one's inside. And there's a little ground ball over to Joe Gordon, throws over to first for the out. Juice moves up to third, and here comes Wally Moses. There's a ground ball over to the right side. It's over to, looks like it's to the first baseman Vernon, who hits Papers running over there in time. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning, still 3-2 Indians, and here comes Dale Mitchell, who takes a strike in there at the knees, 0-1, and a ball. 1-1 the count, and that one's grounded by the mound over to Juice. The shortstop throws to first for the out, one away. Here's Bob Kennedy, who takes the ball. It's a 1-0 count. And there's another one that's high and wide, 2-0 the count, and 2-1 as that one's fouled back. There's a little ground ball over to Mitchell, and I was going to say Majeski, rather, and he makes the play, throws to first base, just not in time. Bob Kennedy gets the base hit. That brings up Joe Gordon now with the runner on first base. One out here, bottom of the fifth inning, still 3-2 Indians. And, well, what do you know? There's a little ground ball over to Juice. The shortstop flips to Suter for one on to first for a double play, and that's what these Athletics do the best. We go to the top of the sixth. Frank Papish stays in there, throws a ball to Pete Suter, and then a strike, 1-1 the count. There's strike two. It's a 1-2 count now on Suter, and that's foul back, still 1-2. And Suter hits a little fly ball over to Doby in center field. One out. Here's Ferris Fain. It's high and inside on Fain. 1-0 the count. 2-0 now as that one's inside, and there's a swing and a miss, and it's 2-1. And there's ball three off the plate, 3-1 now the count, and that's up in the zone, full count now on Fain. That's banged over third base. It talks about Mitchell being overshifted. I'm not entirely certain that I understand exactly what happened. So if you're curious about this, in Diamond Mine Baseball, you can't do much about shifting your outfielders. So this is sort of the mystery of the play-by-play, because there's nothing you can do to combat that. I think that this was likely put into the game because of the shift that has become popular in baseball in recent years. Whether it belongs in this era or not is another question. I think is probably somewhat controversial, but we'll go with it because that's what it said, and that will bring up Mike Guerra, now runner on second base and only one out. And Papers misses high, 1-0 the count. There's one hit over to Peck at right field, and that won't do anything with the runner. 2 away, and here's Carl Scheib. He will hit for himself. There's a strike to lead him off, 0-1 the count. And there's a ground ball over third base, and it's past Kennedy. That's a fair ball, and that's a tie game. And Scheib, who has not pitched all that well, ends up doing it with his bat, and we are tied at 3. And this is suddenly becoming a very interesting and somewhat exciting game here in the top of the sixth. I'm not quite sure which team is going to be the favorite in the end here as we move forward. We'll see what happens. And here is Elmer Vallo, and there's a ball inside to him, 1-0 the count, and another one in tight, 2-0 now the count on him. And that's a check swing. It's called a strike, though, 2-1 now, and that was low and away, 3-1 now the count. That's outside, and Papish not doing well. He will come up next inning to hit. See if we can get one more out with him. Here's Eddie Juiced, and there's a ball outside to Juiced, and one over for a strike, 1-1 the pitch, and that was popped up, 1-2 now. And there's a little ground ball over to Boudreau, who flips it over to Gordon for the out, and we go to the bottom of the sixth inning, and Papish able to get that third out, which is what we're looking for. Jim Hegan starts this one off, takes a strike, fouls one back, 0-2 the count now, still 0-2 as he fouls one back. And there's a little ground ball over to Pete Suter at the right side. He makes the play at second base, throws to first for the out, and that will bring up Papish, who has walked 7. And though I talk a lot about sticking with your starting pitcher, in this particular instance, we are going to take him out because I've not been happy with how he has hit at all, or how he has pitched at all, rather. Here's Ken Keltner, who's going to be the pinch hitter. And there's one in on the hands. It's a 1-0 count now on Keltner, 2-0 as he takes another ball. And that's inside, 3-0 now the count. We'll have him take the pitch, wrong button, and takes a strike there, 3-1. And 3-2 now as Guerrero was able to frame that one. There's a little ground ball over to third base. Majeski has it, throws to first for the out. One away. Larry Doby now takes a strike. 0-1 the count now, and there's one fouled back, 0-2. And that's on the inside corner, and that will do it. And we go to the top of the seventh inning, and who are we going to put in? Do we want to put in Benton, or do we want to leave Benton for another situation? I mean, our next game, we're probably going to start early win. Let's put Satch in there. We're going to put Satchel Paige in this and see what he can do for us. And so top of the 7th inning, there's Sam Chapman, who hits a little ground ball over to Joe Gordon, throws the first for the out, one away. Here's Hank Majeski. Takes a strike from Satchel Paige, and another one, 0-2. That one's inside, 1-2 now the count, and that swung on, foul tip, but no dice. And there's a little ground ball that goes right by the shortstop Boudreau and into left center field for a base hit, and Majeski's on a first base. Here is Moses. And there's a little ground ball over to second base. Gordon flips it on over to Boudreau, makes a nice turn, throws to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning, still tied at 3. Lou Boudreau up there now takes a ball, 1-0 the count, and 1-1 as there's a fastball on him. There's a little ground ball over to Juice. The shortstop throws to first for the out, 1 away. Here's Hal Peck. There's a ball in there to Peck, and there's a breaking ball that misses a little bit high, 2-0 the count. That's a fastball, foul back, 2-1. That one's high, 3-1 now the count. And Peck takes that fastball high, full count now on him, and then fouls one off. That's in on the hands, and there's a little ground ball over to Fain, who flips over to Scheib, covering a first for the out. And here comes Mickey Vernon with 2 outs here, bottom of the 7th, still 3-3 ball game. The count on Mickey's 0-2 as he takes another strike, and there's one up and in, 1-2 now the count on Vernon, and that's low, 2-2. And that's fouled off, still 2-2, and there's a swing and a miss, and there's a strikeout. We go to the top of the 8th inning. Here's Pete Suter. He takes a strike from Satchel Paige, 0-1 now the count, 0-2. And that one's tight for a ball, 1-2 the count. And 2-2 as that one is too far inside, and there's another ball to him, full count now. And Suter swings and misses on that Satchel Paige fastball, and there's one away, and here comes Ferris Fain. It's a little fly ball over to right field, and Peck has it for the out, 2 away, and here's Mike Guerra. There's a strike in there, breaking ball to Mike Guerra, and that one misses low. 1-1 now the count on Guerra. There's a little fly ball over to right field, and it's going to be Dobie's got it for the out, and here comes Dale Mitchell here, bottom of the 8th inning. The 1-0 count on him. He gets a little base hit, and that was a very good play there in the outfield by Moses, who cuts that one off and prevents it from being a double. That brings up Bob Kennedy, and we're going to be off to the races here. And Mitchell's off and running, and that throw goes high and wide. Mitchell's able to take third base, and that's exactly what I wanted to see happen. That's what will reward you from time to time if you're just that little bit greedy and that little bit aggressive on offense. And that might mean a big difference in this ball game, because instead of a runner on first base with nobody out, now you got a runner on third base with nobody out, thanks to the poor throw by Guerra. And I mean, in the bottom of the 8th inning, that can be really important. So Bob Kennedy's still up there now, but now with a runner on third base in Dale Mitchell, we'll have him swing away, and he fouls the one off of his foot. 1-1 the count now. Kennedy 2 for 2 today. And he hits a fly ball over to Chapman in center field. Chapman basically steps in his tracks. He's got it without moving much. And that is, however, a successful fly ball as Mitchell's able to score. And just like that, I tell you, Dale Mitchell manufactured that run really all on his own. And that'll bring up Joe Gordon here with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's now 4-3 Indians. And again, it's one of those plays that in the end gets lost in the box score, and when you're doing your advanced analysis, won't really stand out from any of the other plays, but when you're watching the game, you can see how important it is and how vital it is to have somebody who can do that. 2-0 the count on Joe Gordon. And there is one line past Eddie Juiced, maybe off of his glove into left field for a base hit. That brings up Jim Hegan, and we're going to bunt here with Jim. And that one's inside, almost hits him. 1-0 the count now, and there's a good bunt that moves Gordon up into scoring position with 2 outs, and we're going to pinch hit for Satchel Paige. Let's see who we have. I'm going back to this, as I will tell you later on in a video, and probably in a blog post as well, a blog post. In a blog post, as nice as it is to see how these guys hit against righties, we do have to be careful about splits, especially when we're talking about realism. I will look at it, though, from time to time. Here's Hank Edwards is going to be the pinch hitter, 0 for 1 so far this season. 1-1 is the count on him. And that one's inside, 2-1 now the count. And he grounds one in wide of third base into the hole for a base hit, and we are going to try to have Gordon score. Let's see if he can score here with 2 outs. And the throw's going to come home. And he is out, and he never got a piece of the plate. And so now it is time for a reliever to come in. And the question is Bearden or Benton. I think we're going to do Jim Bearden, who's been pitching better so far in the season, regardless of what he did in real life. Another look back here at that play. And, we're going to have to do a little bit of adventurism to make sure that we get a little piece of all of this. Very, very good play there by the, where was it hit to? It was... It doesn't tell me here who exactly. Oh, it was hit the left field. I see. So it was a good play there by Moses, who's had a number of good plays so far in this game. Boy, a lot of bad luck there on the part of Edwards. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this set up. So apologies as I get the screenshot set up here for the blog. All right, and we'll go back and just grab this one here. I do think it wasn't necessarily the worst base running play in the world, though I guess you can argue that with Larry Doby coming up, maybe we should have been a little bit more conservative. But, since we already have the lead 4-3, I figure we might as well be a little bit greedy and try to get the extra run. Top of the ninth inning, and it is Gene Bearden who goes in there with the potential of getting a save, though it wasn't really a thing in 1949. Carl Scheib up there, and it's interesting that Scheib is hitting for himself in this situation, takes a strike, and takes one high and outside, 1-1 the count. That's inside him. He fouls it away. It's a 1-2 count now. That's low and outside, 2-2. Here's a ground ball over to Kennedy. And he bobbles that one, but throws over to first base for the out. And that's his first assist here in the top of the ninth inning. So there's a ball in there to Elmer Vallo with one out. And a 1-2 count on him now. Now it's 2-2. And that one's high and inside, full count on him. And there's a ground ball over to Gordon. Throws over to first for the out. And that means that Eddie Juiced is the last hope here for Philadelphia. 4-3 now the ball game. And that one is low, 1-0 the count, and that is away from the target, 2-0. That one's high and inside, 3-0 the count now on him, and there's ball 4 and juiced, and that's a little bit problematic. That brings up Sam Chapman with the runner on first base, and there's a ball in there to Chapman and another ball outside, 2-0 the count, and that one's fouled back. 2-1 now the count on Sam Chapman, and that's lined into left field. That will be a base hit, and that brings up Hank Majeski now with 2 outs. And with only the runner on or runners on first and second, and this is the last gasp. I'll tell you, if you read some of the really, really old reporting and the old stories about baseball, there are a lot of stories that I found very recently from time periods like, say, 1906 or 1908, 1910, and stuff like that in normal newspapers, which would talk all about the situation where you're on the road and you have 2 outs in the top of the ninth inning, no runners on any of the bases, and you end up sort of manufacturing something and a miracle comes your way. Hank Majeski hits one deep, and that is out of the reach of Peck in right field, and Chapman is going to try to score the go-ahead run, and he is safe at home. And that one is close, very, very close to a home run there by Chapman, or I'm sorry, by Majeski. His double scores 2, and just like that, we have a 5-4 ball game here after the Athletics had nobody on in the top of the ninth inning with 2 outs. And boy, this has been really, really impressive. And what an awful, awful performance it's been from the pitcher Bearden, who has given up those 2 runs here in the ninth inning. And the question is, do we stick with him or do we put somebody else in there? I think we're going to stick with him for one more and see if we can't just get to the bottom of the inning. There's Wally Moses, who fouls one off, 0-1 the count. And that's low and away, 1-1 now the count on Wally. And it's 2-1 as that one misses. And he fouls one back, 2-2, and there's a ground ball over to first base. Vernon has it, flips on over to Bearden for the out, and we go to the bottom of the ninth. And here's Larry Doby, and let's see if the Indians can come back 5-4 all of a sudden. There's a strike in there to Doby, 0-1 the pitch, and a ball, 1-1. And boy, doesn't that out there in the bottom of the 8th inning loom large now. Doby hits an inside pitch over there to deep right field, but not quite deep enough. And Wally Moses there for the out. There's one away. And here comes Lou Boudreau. Boy, those very little decisions that you make always seem to make the biggest difference when it really comes down to it. Now, you might or might not get the feeling for this, but this is an important game. Both teams a game and a half away from first place, right behind the Yankees. There's a ball in there to Boudreau. And that one's lined to the alley, and Boudreau has a double, and he's 3 for 5 today, and that brings up Hal Peck. And so, as you can see, there is a bit of urgency in the mind of the players of both teams as they want to get as close to the first-place Yankees as they possibly can. Now, if you've been watching the games here, you know that the Yankees have not played yet today. The Red Sox lost today. And so, so far, they're sort of capitalizing off of the loss that the Red Sox suffered to the Tigers here on, what is this? I want to say May May 4th, sorry, 1949. Yankees will play next. So in 2 days from now, you'll be able to watch the Yankees playing St. Louis at the Browns. Runner on second base now with only one out. Here is Hal Peck, who's 0 for 4. And there's a ball to him, 1-0 the count. And Carl Scheib still in there, 1-1 the count now. Scheib almost with 150 pitches. That's fouled off 1-2 now the count. This is a fastball inside 2-2. There's a pop-up, and that's over to Suter for the out, and that means that there's 2 away. And here comes Mickey Vernon. Vernon comes up there 1 for 3 today, and he's got an RBI and a run scored. And Vernon is going to be kind of the last hope for Cleveland here in the first game of, I don't remember if this is a 2 or a 3 game series, but however many games this is the first time that both of these teams have faced each other. Again, especially if you're the Indians, you want to win and be as close to first place as you possibly can, because whoever wins this one will have at least a temporary leapfrog in front of the Red Sox. 1-1 the count now on Vernon, and that's inside, and he fouls that one away, 1-2. That's below the knees, 2-2 now the count, and that one's fouled back. It's still 2-2. And that's hit to dead center field, way back there, and Chapman has to go back and get that one. And unfortunately for Philadelphia and for Carl Scheib, that ballpark is pretty deep when you go that way. Carl Scheib will end up getting the complete game out of this one, and this is really not a game that he should have had a complete game for, if you ask me. Didn't pitch particularly well at any point in time in this one, giving up the 4 runs and giving up how many hits? 11 hits. Had 154 pitches and 4 walks to go along with his 4 strikeouts. It wasn't a beautiful game, but it was good enough and close enough to be good enough. And the Athletics win this one to put themselves into second place, 1 game behind the Yankees, and we'll be cheering on the Browns as the Yankees face the Browns again, like I said, in 2 games our time or the same day as this. And anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and we'll have another game for you tomorrow. I'll talk to you then. Bye.